This video is going to help you understand why estrogen therapy can improve such a wide variety of symptoms. And it's also going to help you understand why that's always not such a great idea. I mean, historically speaking, a shot of tequila has improved a lot of problems for a lot of people, but it's also created a lot of other problems. So you don't want to miss this.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Now, if you've used some estrogen therapy and saw some improvement to specific symptoms, let us know in the comments what symptoms you saw improve, because we see a wide variety of issues improve for different people. Now, to understand the point of this video, if you don't have enough money to pay all of your bills, that stress can be a symptom. It can be a very bad symptom. So if you get a car title loan, all of a sudden you have this bulk of money that you can pay off those bills, and you don't have that symptom anymore, the symptom of not having enough money. You improved that symptom. But now you just paid a big chunk of your paycheck for that loan, so you have less money, and now you have another bill that you have to pay every month. So that's a bigger problem down the road. If you can't keep that payment going, you lose your car. Now how are you going to get to work and make any money at all? So you can see that improving that symptom actually created a lot of other problems down the road. To understand problems that can come from estrogen therapy, we first need to understand why it can be so beneficial. Estrogen is a stress hormone. So if the body has some type of urgent situation come up, it can lift stress hormones like estrogen and help the body function at a higher level than it could have without that stress hormone. So it can kind of help the body function better in a pinch. Now, in another situation, a person could just have very low resources most of the time. The body can also raise stress hormones in that scenario and help the body function a little bit better. It's just giving the body a boost when the body needs a boost. Now, this is how the body functions naturally when it just needs a little bit of help to function a little bit better. The problem is when the burdens become bigger and bigger, the body's dealing with more and more burden, or the resources the body has to use to deal with these issues becomes lower and lower, then eventually it can't always make enough of these stress hormones to help the body function correctly, and a lot of symptoms start to show up. So when someone says, hey, I'm going to get myself a little bit of estrogen therapy, now they're going to pound like 10 or 20 times the amount of estrogen that was in the body in there, and why wouldn't that improve some symptoms? You're giving the body all these resources to help it function a little bit better, but now you've given a whole bunch of those resources. So sure, a lot of people see significant improvement to their symptoms, but there can be a price for this. And we're not even going to get into any of the blood clot or tumor formation or any of those issues that you hear about with high estrogen levels. What we need to talk about is how high estrogen levels have been shown to thicken bile so it won't flow correctly. Now here's why that's a problem. When we eat food, our stomach makes hydrochloric acid, or HCl, to help us acidify and break that food down. That's why we eat food. We're eating food so that we can get the nutrients in those foods. We need to get the minerals and the nutrients and the amino acids, all those nutrients out of that food. And we do that by breaking that food down. So the stomach acidifies that food, and then when that acidic product leaves the stomach, the gallbladder drops bile down onto this acidic product. Now, bile is very alkaline. Bile is a soapy substance that's made by the liver, and then it's stored in the gallbladder. So when the acid product leaves and we drop this alkaline bile down on the acid product, the opposite pHs like this create a sizzle. This sizzle is what really helps us bust that food apart and pull all the nutrients out of that food. But for a wide variety of reasons, some people don't make enough stomach acid, or they're not acidifying their food correctly, and others have bile that is too thick and sticky to flow correctly. So if either side of digestion is not working correctly, we don't get that sizzle, and you can't access all the nutrients that are in the food that you're eating. Beyond creating that sizzle, bile is also what we use to emulsify or break down our dietary fats. And there's a lot of needs in the body for dietary fat. So when these fats can't be broken down properly, they break down by process of rotting and fermenting, which can make them rancid and toxic. And now these fats become a burden that the body has to figure out, hey, how do I get rid of this? Maybe I'll just shove some in a fat cell for safekeeping, and then our fat cells expand and now our pants don't fit. So that can be one problem, an inability to process fats. The body may also push these toxic fats out through the pores to try to get rid of them that way, which creates acne and other skin issues. So that can be a big problem. Here's where it gets worse. The liver takes filth and toxins that it filters out of the body, and it puts those filth and toxins into the bile that it makes. So now when the bile goes down through the intestinal tract, it's carrying all these filth and toxins out so they can go out the back door. This is the main detox pathway for the entire body. Now the body has other pathways, but this is the main one. So when bile isn't flowing correctly, not only do you not get that sizzle, so you can pull all the minerals and nutrients out of your food, you can't emulsify fats correctly so that the body can use those dietary fats, and now the fats become a burden, and you've removed the main exit strategy for the body for toxins. You've removed the main detox pathway. So when these toxins can't be removed, they just get reassimilated to the system. And now the liver's got to filter them out all over again. It's like, oh man, I got to do this all over again. And as it gets overwhelmed by filtering out the same toxins over and over again, it can't do all its other jobs, like, making the cholesterol needed to make some of these hormones. The thyroid can't function correctly because the liver can't convert T4 to T3. If you want to learn more about thyroid issues, we'll put a link in the description below on our video about liver connection to the thyroid function. But there's all these problems that can come about when bile is not flowing correctly. And now there are other issues that can cause bile to become too thick and sticky to flow correctly, but high estrogen levels seems to be the most common one that we see. So now when you have this toxic burden, it can create a lot of new symptoms, maybe symptoms that weren't there before. Birth control and acne seem to go hand in hand, and it happened so much that they started putting other hormones and medications that help acne so that everybody using birth control wouldn't have acne. But this is happening because estrogen levels were going so high, thickening up bile and restricting its ability to flow. So people will use birth control that has stuff that helps acne in it, but then in the long run, if they thicken up their bile so the body can't remove toxins, and now all toxins are getting pushed out through the skin and undigested fats are getting pushed out through the skin, now they can have acne down the road for a totally different reason. Now my least favorite form of hormone therapy are the rub-in creams, because when you rub in a cream, some of that medication is getting absorbed into your tissues and into your fat cells, and it's just stored there. So that might not release for weeks or months. So every time you rub in this cream, you're getting the dose that you rub in, but you may also be getting the dose that's released from your fat or skin tissues. So 6 months down the road, it's basically impossible to know what kind of dose you're getting at all. And a lot of people view bioidentical hormones as, oh, it's bioidentical. It's not just a synthetic hormone, it's bioidentical. But understand that this can still create the same problem that I'm talking about here. Even without hormone replacement therapy, if someone's estrogen level just goes too high due to maybe stress in their life or stress in the body, which often comes from a lack of resources and the body not having enough resources to function correctly, it's a little stressed about that. And so these stress hormones go high, and that can still thicken up your bile and create all these problems that we're talking about. So it doesn't matter whether it's a synthetic hormone, if it's a bioidentical hormone, or if it's just excessive hormones that your body is making. All of these issues can create this problem of thickening up the bile so it won't flow correctly. Now, we don't base all of our decisions on studies like a lot of people do, because studies can be paid for. That's kind of how it works. They're expensive. Who's going to pay for those? Well, pharmaceutical companies pay for a lot of those. So, but there's a lot of people that are out there that are a little bit study crazed, like, oh, I was in a study said it, so it must be true. So we'll put some links to some studies below for the people who are a little study psycho and want to see that stuff. And there's a lot of studies that are showing the correlation between either birth control or hormone therapy and gallbladder disease or gallstones. And we understand that the gallbladder concentrates bile. That's what the gallbladder does. It concentrates it so it can be more effective. But when bile becomes too thick and sticky to flow correctly, it stays in there and it concentrates until it concentrates into stones. And that's how we create gallstones. So if you want to learn more about that, we'll put a link in the description below this video if you want to learn more about gallstones. But these studies are out there showing that, oh yeah, there is a correlation. This is happening. And some of the studies will be like, oh, well, this only shows a 36% increase of gallstones formed for people using these types of medications. And 36%, that's not that much. But 36% is a lot if you're in that 36%. We need to start worrying about more how things affect us and our unique bioindividuality, and a little bit less about how they affect the masses. Every body operates differently because we all have different body chemistry, so different things will affect us differently. And to understand that helps us understand why hormone replacement therapy will not create these problems for everybody. Everybody has different issues going on. Things like food choices and lifestyle choices and body chemistry and imbalances can all affect whether the bile is becoming too thick and sticky already, even without the estrogen therapy. So if someone's a little bit on the fence, it can really create a problem, where if somebody's bile is flowing super great, they may not see problems at all, or maybe not for years. So don't view how things will affect you just because things are going great for your friend. Your body chemistry may say otherwise. Now, this doesn't mean that if you're taking hormone replacement therapy that you should just stop that. You really need a doctor to help you reduce that or take you off of that. But the thing to understand is that most people need this therapy because the body doesn't have the resources that it needs. And it doesn't have the resources because it's not breaking down the food and pulling out all the minerals and nutrients out of the food that they're eating. So they're taking this therapy to boost how the body functions, but at the same time, they can be restricting their digestive ability and the ability to really pull nutrients out of that food, and really magnifying the actual underlying cause of the problem in the first place. So we prefer to see people improve any of those digestive malfunctions, help the body get the nutrients and the resources that it needs so that it can function the way that it's supposed to function. So to help you figure out what's going on with you, we have a totally free digestion course that kind of walks you through the process of figuring out, are there aspects of digestion that are not working well for me? And if so, what steps can I take to improve those? And that'll help you figure out that, oh, maybe my body just doesn't have the resources that it needs, and I can take steps to improve that naturally. So we'll put the link to that totally free course in the description below this video. But for now, watch our video on 10 signs of poor bile flow to gain more insights, to see, oh, maybe am I having more signs that are showing that maybe my bile isn't flowing correctly. I can't wait to hear about your results.